The unapproved biography of a gossip channel is an excellent idea. If I could just get my old notes off my old computer, it would be an excellent thing because I only have partial notes here. And then I would have to reconstruct and do the recent things because I haven't really kept up with without a box of Kleenex as well as everybody else. But I have to talk about this. Hey, Kira. Hey, Carolyn. I've got to talk about this because there's some in the KJ community, and they're people I like. They're people that I consider friends that have gotten a hold of the wrong end of the stick. They've just gotten a hold of a little bit of misinformation. Have you ever played the game telephone where somebody whispers in somebody's ear and the thing that comes out is completely different than what's been said? By the time it makes it all the way around the circle, everybody whispering to each other. I think we have a problem with that in the KJ Truther community. Why do I say that? Because I sometimes will see things come out that I know are a lie. Example. These are the things that are, well, I'm not a lie. Let me rephrase that. Not a lie. Maybe not 100% true. Because the person has picked up something that somebody else has said, that somebody else has said, somebody else has said, and they mix it with sis without a box of Kleenex. And by the time it comes back around, it's way different than what it actually is. Today, what happened is somebody started talking about Patheos and her. They said that Patheos's big team of lawyers had investigated 5 tweets for her. No such thing. Patheos crack legal team is one dude named Leo. I forgot what Leo's last name is, but Leo is it. It's not like they have a huge team of lawyers sitting around. The only thing that the Patheos lawyers are interested in, literally the only thing, is if somebody tries to claim that you've defamed them or you've used some content that you weren't supposed to, or you've doxed them. Like I said, I had my head knockings with them because of the Duggars. Anytime I would use a screen cap that was Duggar related, I would end up, hey, Amber Chick, good to see you too. Every time I use a screen cap from not even a screen cap, what am I saying? I started using screen caps, but anytime I used a photo that had to do with the Duggars, one of their Instagram or whatever, I would get a copyright strike on Patheos, and I would get an email that would say, hey, we're removing this. This is why. Literally, that is the only thing they're concerned with. They're concerned about keeping Patheos out of the drink. They're not concerned about you. You are just a contractor. Hey, Ginger Lee. Hey, T King. You are a mere contractor when you're writing for Patheos. Their lawyers don't protect you at all. They have nothing to do with protecting you. I once pointed out to Catherine that Patheos had a lawyer. I didn't say a huge legal team. I didn't say they were going to protect anybody from being sued, nothing like that. She did like she always does, takes a little kernel of truth and then extrapolates it out to a stupid place. That's literally what happened. And I'm sure if she wrote Leo and said, you got to look at this tweet, that tweet, whatever tweet, because they're being mean, he probably just filed it right in the circular bin. So I don't think that her claims that the Patheos legal team jumped in are valid at all. But then again, what do I know? The other one that keeps going around and around is KJ was so awful, she was the only person they ever removed from Patheos, all of her content. Half true. There's one other that they removed all of his content. Now, I don't know if it was his request or they were angry with him. I don't know. That was David Hayward, the naked pastor. They took all of his stuff down. And there may have been others in other versions of Patheos. I generally did not follow much of the other authors on Patheos. Very seldom. Because every time I would see Father Longnecker's screeds or Bristol Palins, I can feel my blood pressure just shooting up. So I try not to do the stuff that makes my blood pressure shoot up or look at the people that make my blood pressure shoot up. So there's that. So I've debunked that. I'm having one heck of a day here already. I'm barely awake. I watched Bobby, the cat, robot cat stream, folding clothes, all of that nonsense. Hey, Sunnyside. Hey, Ginger Lee. Hey, Miranda. So, yeah, so that was kind of a surprise to wake up today to see that some people were taking things about Catherine and didn't quite have it 100% right. So there was that. There's no crack legal team. There's one guy. So I want to talk about the IFB, but I got a couple things I got to talk about first. One is I'm kind of woozy today because I was running around until very late last night chasing a damn iguana out of my swimming pool. It's iguana breeding season, which means the males are coming out. And they're coming out like this. Oh, I'm the best. I'm the biggest. I'm the baddest. I'm the biggest. I'm the baddest. I'm the biggest. I'm the baddest. Shaking their heads. And it's pretty hysterical because they usually start fighting. All the males start fighting and it gets stupid. I've been in the pool before and had 3 males that were huge fall in the pool with me. I'm like, I'm getting out now. So yesterday, my husband was swimming. He did 3 laps, and an iguana got in the pool with him. Fell out of the tree into the water. So he got out. We encouraged the iguana to get out of the pool. He did. He ran up a tree after a few minutes. And then another iguana came along, another male, another 3-footer, not a 5-footer like the last time with me, who promptly fell in the pool. And every time he got out, my stupid cat Stinky started beating up on him. So he wouldn't leave the pool. I've gotten used to it. I have gotten used to it. Hey, Princess. So I've gotten so used to that now. So about midnight last night, I was like, I fell asleep in the bed when I was reading. So I got up to turn the lights off because all the lights outside were on and my husband was snoozing in there. I was like, well, I got to turn all the outside lights on. I don't want to, blind all my neighbors or try to sleep. So I went out to turn off the lights. And I looked in the pool and the 3-foot-long iguana was still in the pool. He was on the steps with his little head bugging above and he was breathing and whatever. They do routinely fall out of trees during breeding season. They start fighting with each other up at the treetop. The next thing you know, one of them's boom. I saw one fall like 40 feet one time and it got up and walked off. I was really shocked. So there he was in all his scaly gray-green glory. He wasn't even a gorgeous one. He wasn't one of the orange and gold ones. So I said, I'm going to bed, dude. You're getting out of the pool. So I grabbed the net, scooped him up, threw him out of the net. Then he started running off. Run real fast. And he jumped right in the hot tub. Rinse, repeat several times. He kept going to the pool of the hot tub. So finally I just got mad and I just took him way next to the fence and dumped his ass off and proceeded to shut down everything, to go out to the pool house to flip all the switches off, all of that. Well, the next thing I know, I'm standing there at the pool house and I'm hearing him. He's right next to me. He's rustling around in the birds of paradise. And I'm freaking out thinking, this sucker's going to bite my toes. He's probably really mad at me all day because he's been in that stupid pool. And he can climb out. That's what's so insane about it. And my cat was inside most of the day. So that's what happened. That's why I was up half the night trying to get him out of the pool and trying to turn everything off. Tell my husband later, it's like, you can't just come to bed and tell me, hey, everything's off if everything outside is on. So there's that. He didn't bite me. I was glad, because if you're ever here or anywhere where there are iguanas, iguana bites carry some pretty terrible bacteria. So you're never, ever going to want to provoke an iguana to the point where you get bitten. because almost always when you get bitten by an iguana, you got to go right to the doctor and get the right kind of antibiotics to kill that sucker, kill all those weird bacteria. So there's that. And the other thing is I am in the process. Oh, we've got you guys already. I am in the process right now. I've just barely started. Of starting to redo my favorite shirt. My favorite, I'm going to clean my house tank top. Was from my old church, the church that would not allow me to be, that would not throw out a emotional support dog, even though I ended up with EpiPen in my leg and going to the ER. So I've gotten rid of the church. I've just done one little tiny scribbling on it. I've got my markers. I've got my pens. I've got my colored pencils and everything else. And I am going to redo that shirt. I love the shirt. It's so comfortable. It's like the softest cotton you've ever felt. But there is no way in hell that I would ever wear anything with the name Tamarindo Church on it after what they did to me. So, hey, Angel, that's all I'm doing. Running around, doing stuff, trying to redo my shirt, doing a bunch of other kind of art projects too, trying to get some things done. So yesterday, this popped up on my Twitter. I think it was my Twitter feed, either my Twitter or my Facebook. And I'm going to pull it up so I can read it. And it's the most infuriating thing that, to me, the most infuriating thing that does the most harm to people in the entire IBLP Patheos, the things that they teach in their wisdom booklets. They teach a lot of really crazy things, okay? But this, to me, this ties in with a couple of weeks ago, I talked about toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is one of the craziest, most awful things that you see when you go through these churches, when you go to the churches that are like this. They tell you that none of that matters, that you don't matter. Your negative emotions are from the devil. They tell you no matter what you do, you have to smile, no matter how you feel, no matter what's going on in your life. The IBLP put out How to Overcome Depression in one of their wisdom booklets. Choose to have a cheerful countenance. That's what it said in the little booklet. And it goes on to explain that you're defrauding people if you're not smiling. If you're not smiling and putting on a good face, then you are just sinning. You have to be able to smile all the time. I talked about this before with the IBLP and with just in general evangelical churches. Smiling is not always possible. It just isn't. It's not even remotely normal. I'm just going to say that. Look at the mother who's lost a child. People have lost close friends, loved ones, particularly in this time of the beer virus, the COVID. It's just not appropriate. It's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to have feelings and to acknowledge them. It's not okay to insist that everybody have those same cheerful feelings all the time. There are some chapters in the Bible where it talks about Jesus wept, or Jesus wasn't exactly happy, slappy, joy like they are trying to portray here. It's not a sin to feel your feelings. It's not a sin to own your own emotions. It's not even a sin to tell other people if they ask you how you're doing. Well, I'm not doing so well today. It's perfectly fine. But if you look at toxic evangelical Christianity, they consider anything less than a smile and I am doing fine as some sort of sin. And going back to my old church, I've been writing about this with the depression because it's been such a huge, major thing for us. It impacted us. That's my big story. My husband went through some years of having depression. They told him he was sinful. They told him that he was demon-addled. They sent him away to have an exorcism. What do they call that? And deliverance ministry. They sent him away to have deliverance ministry. And at the end of the day, it turned out he had cancerous tumors on his parathyroid glands in his neck. Once those were lifted and we were away from that old toxic church, guess what? He was no longer depressed and has never returned. So that's one of those things. I mean, our bodies are so intricate that whenever I would run across anybody who was depressed and everybody in the church was like, oh, shut up, smile, smile, smile. Say, no, start with a complete and total physical. Because if my husband had had a complete and total physical been, they would have picked up on the fact that the calcium levels in his blood were through the ceiling. And he would have been treated 10 years before instead of us struggling off and on for years with this depression of his. So as far as I'm concerned, this is one way that evangelical Christianity has a body count, because they insist that you have to have this going on all the time. Yes, Sunnyside. That, I mean, even Jesus wept. And who are we to say we're better than him? I mean, if he is allowed to mourn, why not us? I mean, there's always going to be those unfair circumstances or moments we're not happy with, where, you know, we're just not doing well. I had one of those Sunday that I absolutely crushed with the right amount of medication, including some edibles, and I just crushed it and went on. But usually what happens when I have it that badly is the adrenaline level in my blood gets so high, I start crying. I start crying. I start freaking out. I start having anxiety. I start having all of that. And it's nice to know it's chemical. It's not demonic, even though I did have a number of Christian pals at my old church that tried to tell me I should not get treatment. One of the other things that they think is that any negative confession you make, and that means anything you're talking about that's wrong with you, that you're saying, hey, this is wrong with me. I don't like this. This is pissing me off or whatever. If you're laying in that bed and you're wheezing and you're not feeling very positive, you're just thinking, oh God, why me? You're thinking, I don't want to be on this planet if I have to keep dealing with this crap, if I have to keep feeling this terrible. Those are all, I think that's pretty normal things to feel when you are dealing with a chronic illness. But even if you're not dealing with a chronic illness, there's enough crazy things about life that we get in those places. We just do. Usually it's temporary. A good sleep can help. There are other things you can do that will help. Miranda, it's extremely exhausting to be that toxic positive. It wears me out. There are some people here in Tamarindo at my old church and at other churches here that have told me, said, well, I have to quit talking to you because you're so negative. Every time I talk to you and ask you how you're doing, you say, I'm not doing great with my asthma. You think? Particularly when I used to get provoked there a fair amount. Oh, so between people's colognes, the cleansers, the paint, when they would repaint something, all of that, it would be not always a good thing with me. And that's before the dog arrived. That's before the poodle arrived, the emotional support animal. I am all for emotional support animals. I'm not for putting them in spaces where people are deadly allergic to them. I think at that point you should be asked to leave. You're not obligated. No one is obligated except for your landlord to put up with your emotional support animal. That's just the reality of it. They've ruled on it. It's just not a thing. So if you have to do that, it's real exhausting. I was a baby when debuted. They had all three stanzas of When You're Happy, You Know It. They had a sad and mad stanza. The sad and mad verses are not used now. Angel, that is kind of scary because, like I said, none of us are going to be happy, happy, joy, joy every minute of every day. Life sometimes sucks. Even if you're not chasing an iguana around in the middle of the night when you'd rather be up in the bed sleeping, you're out there cursing and jumping around and going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Or 20 minutes later, when the giant Costco-sized tub of laundry soap fell on my foot. I said some not so nice words then. I went to bed grumbling. If they're not really one, well, how you're really doing, don't ask in my opinion. Miranda, I agree. This person is quite wealthy, actually told me, you gripe and complain way too much. Nobody wants to hear how sick you are. Well, gee whiz, I'm sorry that I inconvenience you with my chronic illness. It is what it is. Now take your trifling rear end on out of here because ain't nobody got time for that. That's one thing that's been so weird about living here. I am living with an entirely different class of Americans than I did when I lived in Virginia. In Virginia, we had everything from, I don't want to say the word, it's negative, so I'm going to say rural recondite rather than saying the hillbilly word. We had our rural recondite. We had middle class people. We had people that couldn't read. We had people who were Hispanic from Central America. We had people who could trace their ancestry back to maybe not the Mayflower, but some of the other first families of Richmond kind of thing. So we had a real mixed bag. Here, there is no mixed bag. It's all two different kinds of people. Your surfers types who are just scamming around, not scamming. They tend to not have a lot of money. They tend to work cash under the table for various places. You see them around. They're pretty nice. I get along with them pretty well. The ones that I struggle with here are the very wealthy Americans that have never in their life missed a meal. They've never, ever, ever ran into the kind of problems I'm talking about. They've lived a charmed life. They've lived the kind of charmed life that I can't even imagine, because while we're doing pretty well now, I have to tell you that putting two kids through college at the same time was hell. There was crazy penny pinching going on. And there have been times in our marriage where there's been crazy penny pinching going on, and I worked 3 jobs just to be able to have the money to put aside to send the kids to college and do X, Y, and Z. So to get here with all these people who have money through either no work of their own or because of the socioeconomic strata that they're on, that they've always been on, so everything they've touched has been gold, it's kind of eye-opening. I have never been around that before, and I've never met such shallow people in my entire life as a result. So there's that. They are the very types of people that will join these evangelical churches that will tell you that you cannot say or do anything negative. You can't have a moment. You've got to smile. You've got to be, But what's interesting to me about them here and their toxic positivity is the discord and rancor that I've seen them sow. A lot of them back in the States were the big fish in the small pond or the medium pond. Here, they're all small fish in a very small pond. And I've seen a lot of them try to use their financial influence to change churches here, to make things different, to fight over the dumbest things. And I don't mean fighting over whether the church accepts an ESA or not. I mean fighting over stupid stuff like the direction of the sermons, trying to tell the pastor what he could do, giving large sums of money and just trying to influence everything, saying, this is how we're going to do it. This is the way it is. Those kind of folks. Now, we've always had those kind of folks. We had them in our old church. We had them in our original Quiverful church, too. We had several of them. What happened in our Quiverful church that was interesting with the very wealthy people, the toxic positivity, is that once the pastor pissed them all off, they all effed off to who knows where, to other churches. Because that's one thing in evangelical world I'm going to talk about, church hopping. It happens a lot. I don't care if the congregation is poor or rich. There's always going to be, they think they can buy anything and everyone. That's exactly right. There's always going to be a number of church hoppers. Wealthy people church hop a lot. I'm just going to throw it right out there at you because they think that their money buys them the kind of privilege to dictate the theology of the church they're attending, when it absolutely does not. It does not. It does not buy them that. It's not guaranteed. So they church hop. They church hop a lot. And I've seen it especially here. I've seen church hopping to the point where it's just pretty ridiculous. I felt like saying, why don't you go off and start your own church if you feel that strongly about what it is you're complaining about? Because you will never be able to find that here. Never, 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 not in a million years. You're going to have to start it to make it happen. And one of the ones I know that was doing that a lot, he was church hopping, he was influencing people, is now at another church. And he has spent like a boatload of money there. And I'm curious to see if he's going to have influence there to change things like he wants. It's a form of rampant consumerism to church hop when you're rich and can't buy the preacher. It absolutely is. It's a type of consumerism. And a lot of the times you'll see at these evangelical churches, they will try to say, oh, no, we're not run by money. We don't care about that. Well, let me tell you, when the rich people leave, my old church, I call it Possum Creek, when all the rich people left, you know what happened? The pastor sent around an email to everybody. I'd already left by that point, but I had enough friends there still that sent me the copy of the email. He speculated on everybody's salary by name. He speculated on that. And then he told them how much they should be tithing, what 10% of their salary was. He sent this long email like that. And I was looking at this going, WTF, this is really none of his business. If you tithe or you don't tithe, that is on you. And it shouldn't be the preacher's job to scold you to tithe. If you want to give a series of sermons once a year about why you think tithing is biblical, go for it. No one is going to stop you from doing that. But when you go to the point where you're speculating on members' salaries and you're speculating what they should be paying and what should be coming in and how big it should be, you got a problem. It goes way beyond that. That went over about like that proverbial lead balloon. We had people that just ran off, lost their minds and ran off and said, no, I'm not giving you another dime. That is outrageous. You've heard of preachers that want your W-2? Well, he tried to ask me that a couple of times in various of my jobs to give him a W-2. And I said, nope, not doing that. And we were tithers. I just thought that it was not a good thing for him to do that. But when we left, we were some of the 10%ers that were tithing. We're actually tithing our 10%. So our loss was significant, but not as significant as the loss of several people who were in the millionaire range that went there. So I saw a lot of that too. And everybody that was left was like, one guy was on disability, another guy mowed lawns for a living, just stuff like that. So you can't run a church on that. In fact, it spun into some real crazy after that because the pastor left. And when he left, it was discovered that he had been taking money from the endowment funds, from the building fund, from the worship team fund. He had all these funds. He had been taking money from all those funds and paying himself. He left, leaving all the endowment and everything 0. Oh, thank you. So it was a big thing, and he is no longer allowed. He's gone back to being a minister in the presbytery, but he's not allowed to touch money or be in charge of money in any way, shape, or form, because they know that that is his bugaboo. I told a friend of mine, it's like, why didn't you file a police report and have him charged? Because that's not right. If the money is there for an endowment, it needs to stay with that endowment, with that fund. And he just took it all. Why not be honest with the congregation and say, hey, look, we're out of money. Can't even pay me. Let's talk about this and see what we can do. Okay. So I've gone off from where I meant to do with the positive, toxic positivity in the IBLPs thing. And they're not alone. They're not the only ones that teach that if you're depressed, you're sinning. And the best way to stop sinning is to smile, which doesn't work. Okay, Angel Play, I got to talk about jewelry for a hot second before I go. This, my dear, is a medic alert bracelet. It is crystals, of course, and little silver finials, but it is, I keep forgetting to wear this. My husband's always acting, he's like, why aren't you wearing your medic alert bracelet? You need to wear it. He's right, I never do. This I didn't make. I used to make jewelry. These I purchased. I went through my jewelry this morning. I went through my jewelry closet and sorted things that I didn't realize some of the stuff I had. So I'm really happy, but I was also very sad. I have a lot of earrings, only one of that I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I guess I need to just break down and make some kind of an enormous necklace with all the different beads and baubles and bits and pieces and something kind of crazy in every color of the rainbow. Okay, you guys, I am going to go. This has been one of those lives where I'm just hopping all over the place. I got my undergrad from Frostburg State. At that time, their president was caught embezzling scholarship money to buy himself a new car. Instead of firing his ass, he transferred to another school. Frostburg State up in Maryland? Oh, wow. Are they religious adjacent? Because I never can remember that about Frostburg. I know St. Mary's is, but I'm not surprised. They do that. They do that, particularly in religion. They will cover it up and then go on. And that's really sad. I mean, we used to live in a neighborhood that had a HOA. Never again. Okay. I sat on the HOA board for some years. My husband did. It was that proverbial SHIT show. It just was. And we had a treasurer that stole $120,000 from the HOA. And I couldn't get anybody to sign the paperwork to have her prosecuted. I wanted her prosecuted. But everybody else on the board said, no, let her refinance her home and replace the money. And we'll just go on. No. I was just making the connection. When you're high up, they won't fire you. Yes. They won't fire you. And quite frankly, I was surprised that the other church in the presbytery took him on as a pastor. But he has really been through some stuff. I actually have a little compassion for him. He had 2 houses. He lost them both. They went right almost on the edge of bankruptcy in their lives, him and his second wife. And it was just an ugly, ugly situation all the way around. And I have to think that he also had extreme hurt because something went down with one of the former members of the church when another member died, where the pastor showed up, the ex-pastor showed up at the funeral, took one look at one of the guys who'd been a elder at Possum Creek and said, no, I never liked you. I still don't like you. I don't want to be around you. Oh my goodness, that blows my mind, because if you don't like somebody, you don't have to speak to them. You don't have to be around them. You can just smile, say hi, and then walk off. There's nothing wrong with doing that instead of jumping all over somebody. But he just jumped all over this guy. I didn't see it. I wasn't there. I kind of wish I was, because I've heard some descriptions of some of the stuff that was said in that head knocking and was like, whoa, I'd have liked to have seen that. because it was so out of character. Frostburg, historic Black college. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I knew it was there. I've known people who've gone there, but that's about it. I had a girlfriend that went there for quite some time. I was more familiar with the Mennonite College in Harrisonburg, and Harrisonburg, VA, and some of the other ones are with UVA, and especially where my kids went, which was George Mason University. Oh, Amanda, you're going to have to catch on the beginning because I am getting ready to go. I got 5 trillion loads of laundry to do. I've got my shirt I have to finish. And I suspect I'm going to have to write a long email to somebody apologizing, and another one where I have to write where I have to step down from worship team, even though I haven't performed with them one time because the asthma is just too wicked. It's not going to let me sing, I'm afraid. Okay, you guys, have a great day. I know it's short for me, 35 minutes, but I got stuff I got to do today. My husband is off on a church work day, cleaning. So y'all have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.